Namaskar, this is Firstpost and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma. If you haven't heard about the breakup, you've been living under a rock. From co-president and first buddy, Elon Musk is now the object of Trump's disappointment. From sound bites in the Oval Office to tweets on X, the split was ugly and public. We'll tell you how it played out, what triggered it, how it is making Tesla bleed. What does it mean for Elon Musk's business empire, and what does it mean for the countries that tried to woo Musk to reach Trump? Interestingly, Starlink got a license to operate in India today. Perfect timing, we say. And in the middle of all of this, Donald Trump called Xi Jinping. Is this a ceasefire in the trade war or just another phone call with no solid takeaway? Also in focus, why India's central bank has cut interest rates by 50 basis points, how Pakistan's politics has reached New York with a Times Square billboard targeting what it calls fraud marshal Asim Munir. How Kashmir has rebounded from Pahalgam with the launch of the world's highest rail bridge. How Netanyahu is playing with fire, backing Gaza gangs to counter Hamas. How China is powering Iran's war machine by sending missile ingredients, and why this is the worst time to be an employee. Less hire, more fire, and AI. All this and more coming up. The headlines first. Prime Minister Modi will attend the G7 summit in Canada. He spoke with Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney earlier today. Carney extended the invite during their phone call. The summit will be held later this month. India-Canada ties remain frosty over the Khalistan issue. After facing backlash, Bangladesh's chief advisor has announced elections. Mohammad Yunus says national polls will be held in April 2026. The announcement comes amid pressure from parties and the military. Earlier, political groups had urged Yunus to set a timeline for elections. The Kremlin says the war in Ukraine is existential for Russia. This comes after a massive drone and missile strike on Kiev. At least 3 people were killed in the overnight attack. Ukraine says Russia fired 45 missiles and more than 400 drones. The strike followed a Ukrainian attack on Russian air bases. Hiring in the US slowed in the month of May. The US added 139,000 jobs last month. That's 8,000 fewer jobs than in April. However, the unemployment rate held steady at 4.2%. The report comes amid concerns over Trump's tariff policies. The Russian central bank has cut interest rates to 20%. The rate was lowered from a 2-decade high of 21%. Officials say inflation is easing after months of rapid price rise. The economy is now slowing after a period of overheating. And Wuhan virus cases continue to rise across India. More than 5,000 active cases were reported today. 4 patients have died in the last 24 hours. Since January, the outbreak has claimed over 50 lives.
You show what matters by your actions, not your words.
I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot.
The weekend is here. I'm sure everyone is looking to kick back and relax. Maybe sink into your couch and watch something on TV. Well, we have the perfect watch for you. It's got drama, it's got emotions, it's got wild allegations, but most importantly, it's got the richest and most powerful men on the planet. So grab some popcorn and settle into some place comfortable, because this is a story you do not want to miss. The story of Elon Musk's breakup with Donald Trump. The relationship was already strained. Musk was opposing Trump's new spending bill. He called it a disgusting abomination. That's what he called the bill. On Thursday, Trump responded to the criticism. He was hosting the German Chancellor in the Oval Office, and during the meeting, this is what Donald Trump said.
Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if we're well anymore. I was surprised because you were here. Everybody in this room practically was here as we had a wonderful send-off. He said wonderful things about me. You couldn't have nicer, said the best thing. He's worn the hat. Trump was right about everything. And I am right about the great, big, beautiful bill. But I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem. And he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate, because that's billions and billions of dollars.
So Trump said a couple of things here. One, Elon Musk was against cutting EV subsidies. Obviously, he owns an EV firm, so he doesn't want the subsidies to go. Two, that Elon Musk knew every aspect of the new bill. And three, that he would have won the election even without Musk. Trump would have won the election. That's what he says. Until this point, things were under control. The criticism was largely civil, but these comments infuriated Elon Musk. It seems he was watching the press conference live because Musk was firing off live replies on X. First, he rejected the claim that the bill was shown to him. Elon Musk said even people in Congress had not read this bill. And after that, the gloves came off. Let me quote from Elon Musk's next post. Without me, Trump would have lost the election. Democrats would control the House and the Republicans would be 51-49 in the Senate. Such ingratitude. In 20 minutes, Musk unloaded on Trump. He basically called the president an ingrateful liar. Trump was never going to take this lying down. He fired back on Truth Social. This is what he said, I'm quoting. Elon was wearing thin. I asked him to leave. I took away his EV mandate that forced everyone to buy electric cars, and he just went crazy. The easiest way to save money in our budget, billions and billions of dollars, is to terminate Elon's governmental subsidies and contracts. Now, here's what he's talking about. Elon Musk's companies got subsidies from the US government, at least $38 billion in government help. That's what Musk got. His companies got $38 billion. And Trump has threatened to cut that off. But Musk was not deterred. He asked Donald Trump to go ahead and make his day. And after that came the big jab. I mean, jab is an understatement. It was more like a full-blooded Mike Tyson punch. Let me quote from Musk's tweet. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT. I'm sure you know the context. Jeffrey Epstein was a convicted pedophile. Multiple reports have linked him to Donald Trump. Apparently, they used to be friends. American officials have released documents about Epstein. These are documents they've not released. They have documents about Jeffrey Epstein. The US media calls these Epstein files. Now, Musk is suggesting that Trump features in those documents, which is why the president has not released them. And this is a massive allegation. Musk is linking Trump to a convicted pedophile. How did Trump respond? Well, he did not directly address the allegation. Instead, this is what he said. I don't mind Elon turning against me, but he should have done so months ago. This is one of the greatest bills ever presented to Congress. So Donald Trump dodged the Epstein claim. He redirected attention to his spending bill. But Musk did not let up. He reposted a right-wing X account, and look at what the post said, that Donald Trump should be impeached and he should be replaced by J.D. Vance. Now, Musk reposted that, saying yes. As a final salvo, he also attacked Trump's tariffs. He said they would trigger a recession later this year. After that post, it seems the referee rung the bell. The online attacks have stopped. In fact, Musk also appeared to take a step back. A random X-user asked Musk and Trump to cool off, and Musk replied saying, good advice. So that's where we stand right now. It's a bit like the eerie silence after a tragedy. Frankly, this breakup was always on the cards. You had two very strong personalities in the same room. One, the most powerful person on the planet. The other, the richest person on the planet. Both are known for their massive egos. So the breakup was always coming. What's surprising is how quickly it happened. I'll show you a post by Elon Musk. This is from the 7th of February. This is what Musk wrote. on the 7th of February, "I love Donald Trump as much as a straight man can love another man." This was just a couple of months ago, and now he's calling him an ingrateful liar. Neither man comes out as the winner here. Musk says Trump is on the Epstein list. If true, then why did Musk spend millions of dollars to get Trump elected? Is that not blatant hypocrisy? As for Trump, this is like a role reversal. Bullying people on social media was his superpower, but Musk seems to have overtaken him. As the owner of X, Elon Musk wields a lot of power, which is why even Republicans are not openly taking sides, and Musk knows this. He reminded Republicans that Trump will only be president for 3.5 years, but that he would be alive for 40 more years. It was a real threat aimed at Republicans. The question is, what happens next here? Well, no relationship is ever over with Trump. Almost all his current allies used to be his sworn enemies. So the criticism is nothing new. The difference is Musk took the fight to Trump. He did not just criticize the policy, he launched scathing personal attacks on the president. Will Trump forgive that? Or will it unleash a streak of vengeance? Both men were expected to have a phone conversation today, but Trump says he's not interested. He says Elon Musk has lost his mind. So I guess two things are possible now. Either there will be a truce or there will be an escalation. Our advice? Maybe Trump and Musk should consider trading with each other. Isn't that how Trump solves all conflicts? Trade more, fight less. Let's see if he takes that advice.
I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot, but this guy would do it.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy. Chainsaw!
So the friendship is over. Donald Trump and Elon Musk have split publicly and bitterly. For Musk, this is a costly divorce. As he sparred with Trump on X, Tesla shares collapsed. They lost $150 billion. $150 billion wiped off from Tesla's market value in just one day. This is what a spat with the US president can cost you. And this could be just the beginning, because Donald Trump has now painted a target on Musk's back. He is threatening to cancel contracts. Listen to what he wrote on Truth Social yesterday. The easiest way to save money in our budget, billions and billions of dollars, is to terminate Elon's governmental subsidies and contracts. This is a direct threat, and it will have ripple effects on Elon Musk's balance sheet. You see, his businesses depend on the government. From Tesla to SpaceX, they all need government contracts. And most importantly, they need government support to survive and thrive. Let's look at Tesla first. This is Elon Musk's EV company. Today, it is the most valuable car company in the world. Tesla grew not only because the product was good, but also because it got tax breaks. Tesla got government incentives and emission credits. And this made the cars more affordable for consumers. It also helped the company save costs. Since 2007, Tesla has received over $3 billion in tax credits. But now Trump has slashed these concessions. His big, beautiful bill has killed the incentives for Tesla.
He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem, and he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate, because that's billions and billions of dollars, and it really is unfair. And when that was cut, and Congress wanted to cut it, he became a little bit different, and I can understand that, but he knew every aspect of this bill. He knew it better than
No wonder Musk doesn't like this bill. It also explains why investors have bailed on Tesla. Without the tax concessions, Tesla might struggle to compete with other players, and that is just one part of Elon Musk's troubles. The second features his space company, SpaceX. It is also at risk. Now, we all know what SpaceX does. It offers reusable rockets for space missions, and NASA, which is the US space agency, relies on SpaceX for this. It's a big money spinner for Elon Musk, and it heavily depends on the government. Since 2008, SpaceX has earned nearly $21 billion from the US government. In fact, the full potential of its contracts is much bigger because NASA and SpaceX have an agreement. Pay as you go. It's a bit like your prepaid mobile connection. The payments are made in installments. So if NASA pays out every deal in full, SpaceX's earnings will be close to $90 billion, 90. That's 15 times the company's revenue in 2022. SpaceX is also key to NASA's moon program. It flies American astronauts, it handles government satellites, it is racing to expand satellite-based internet. Critics call SpaceX a monopoly in the making, and that dominant position is now at risk. If Trump follows through on his threats, if he cancels these government contracts, Musk is in deep trouble. Of course, as the US president, Trump has many other ways to hurt him. Trump could mobilize American regulators against Musk. His businesses are already under the lens. The FAA has fined SpaceX in the past. FAA is the Federal Aviation Administration. This is America's aviation regulator. It has fined SpaceX for violating license requirements. SpaceX also faces oversight from another agency, the US Environment and Telecom Regulators. And then there's the third business, Neuralink. This is also owned by Elon Musk. Neuralink makes brain implants. It is under scrutiny from the health regulators. It needs approvals to run trials, and it needs licenses to sell its product. In fact, Tesla too faces a probe. The US auto safety regulators are investigating Tesla. They're probing Tesla's driver assistance systems. The thing is, most of these problems are not new. Elon Musk has weathered these storms before, but now the political cover is gone. And even legally, Musk is vulnerable. The SEC has sued him, the Security and Exchange Commission, America's market regulator. This is over Musk's purchase of Twitter. Today, the company is called X, and it is under the scanner. So long story short, Elon Musk has a ton of legal troubles, and Trump may not step in to help him now. The alliance is broken. Musk did not just lose a friend, he lost a firewall. And this is more than a falling out. It is two giants colliding. Both men are billionaires, both thrive on dominance, and both have a habit of bending the rules. Now they stand on the opposite ends of the battlefield. If this breakup turns into a full-blown war, it will rattle not just the markets, it will also shake Washington. The drama is happening in America, but what does it mean for the world? For starters, it means a lot of free entertainment. News is mostly gloomy nowadays. I'm sure this will turn up the ratings. But beyond that, what is the impact? What does it mean for a country like India? Well, it forces a policy rethink. Many governments saw Elon Musk as a ticket to win Trump's favor. So they reached out to him. They struck deals with Musk. They appeased him, all in the hope of getting on Trump's good books. But now, do they continue with that strategy or do they abandon it? Let's look at India first. New Delhi too had reached out to Elon Musk. Prime Minister Modi met him in Washington, D.C. earlier this year. He was also present at the Modi-Trump bilateral. So politically, the outreach was there. And financially, well, today was a big day for Starlink in India. The government finally gave approval for their operations. You see, Starlink offers internet via satellites. They had requested the telecom ministry for a license, but the ministry had security concerns. After all, Starlink has a strategic use. Ukraine is using these satellites to fight Russia. Even rebels in Myanmar are said to be using Starlink. So India was skeptical. But looks like those concerns have now been addressed because Starlink has got its license. They're now free to launch their internet services in India. And what a day to do it, right as Musk and Trump were clashing online. The fact is, Elon Musk is too big to ignore. His companies operate in very crucial sectors: electric transportation, space exploration, social media, satellite internet. This cocktail gives Elon Musk a lot of power, plus some of these sectors are niche. Either Musk is the only player in these sectors, or he has the first mover advantage. And in that sense, his business empire should be fine. He was the richest person even before he supported Trump. But if this political tiff continues, he may have to slow down. Maybe slower approvals, limited political access, less help from Washington. Those are certainly possible. But what about countries that used Musk to cozy up to Trump? What will they do now? Well, they can either wait and see how this plays out, how things develop, or they can chart a new approach. And this is the problem in dealing with Donald Trump's team, because there is no team. It depends on who goes along with Trump. Consider his first term as president. Most cabinet positions were like a game of musical chairs. At one point, Trump did not have permanent appointees. He simply used acting secretaries. Donald Trump had 28 such officials, 28 acting secretaries in his first term. That is more than Bill Clinton and Barack Obama combined. Do you see the problem here? You cannot build personal equations. You cannot invest or bet on a particular individual, because chances are they will soon be gone. At the same time, it's also tempting, because Trump clearly loves nepotism and cronyism. He treats his allies like his best buddies. Musk himself is called co-president. So it's naturally tempting for countries to woo these allies, to use them to reach Trump. But we say, resist the temptation. Build strategic and bipartisan consensus for your relationship. And India has tried to do that. Yes, we reached out to Elon Musk, but we did not place all our eggs in that one basket. The key is to double down on that approach, because presidents will come and go, presidential advisors will come and go. Your relationship should survive all these changes. That is the hallmark of a good partnership. And staying with Donald Trump, he seems to be working the phones round the clock. On Wednesday, he spoke to Vladimir Putin. By Thursday, it was Chinese President Xi Jinping on the line. This call was their first since February. And that's when Trump launched his trade war on China. The conversation with Xi lasted for 90 minutes, and Trump called it a very good talk.
We had a very good talk, and we've straightened out any complexity. It's very complex stuff, and we straighten it out. The agreement was we're going to have Scott and Howard and Jameson will be going and meeting with their top people and continue it forward. But no, I think we have everything. I think we're in very good shape with China and the trade deal. We have a deal with China, as you know, but we were straightening out some of the points, having to do mostly with rare earth, magnets, and some other things.
At first glance, this looks like a thaw, maybe even a truce. The trade talks are back on. Both sides are discussing a deal. Trump is even heading to China, he says. According to the US president, Xi Jinping invited him for a visit.
We have the deal. I mean, we've had a deal. We announced the deal, and we'll be, I guess you could say, I wouldn't even say finalizing it up, Scott. I would say we have a deal, and we're going to just make sure that everybody understands what the deal is. We had a really good conversation. By the way, he invited me to China, and I invited him here. We've both accepted. So I'll be going there with the First Lady at a certain point, and he'll be coming here, hopefully, with the First Lady of China.
So what led to this? According to Chinese state media, it was Donald Trump. He has been pushing for a call or visit. So the White House initiated the call. Does that mean it's a turnaround from Washington? Well, kind of. Trump launched his trade war hoping to hit China. The US imposed 145% tariffs on Beijing. China fired back with 125% reciprocal tariffs. Trump took it up further with 245% tariffs on some goods. It was dangerous and absurd. It spooked the entire global economy. Then in the month of May, they agreed to a fragile deal. The US would ease tariffs and China would lift export bans. Donald Trump called it a reset. But then came the accusations. Each side claimed that the other had violated the agreement. So shipments were stalled. There were new export controls, also more visa restrictions on Chinese students. But now Trump has called Xi and truce appears to be back on the table. It suits everyone. Look at the US economy. They're feeling the pinch. Growth has slowed down. American businesses are alarmed, especially by China's chokehold on rare earth exports. These are minerals that China controls and the whole world needs, rare earths. If China cuts supplies, all kinds of manufacturers will suffer, so American businesses are in a spot of bother. Plus, their chip supplies have been hit. So despite all the tough talk, there's a lot of pressure on Trump, both at home and outside. So Trump did what Trump does. He picked up the phone, he called Xi Jinping. And what did Beijing say? Well, China's readout of this call, China's statement, was not exactly warm. This is their official statement. It noted the Chinese invitation for Trump to visit. And it did not mention anything about Xi's trip to Washington. The statement repeated China's old talking points that Beijing has lived up to its promises, the export delays are procedural, and that Washington should withdraw its negative measures. In fact, on Taiwan, the message was even more blunt. Xi Jinping warned the US against supporting separatists. That's what he called them, separatists. So China's tone has not softened at all. Does that mean the US president is backing down? Well, this is where it gets murky. There aren't any major concessions from China. There are only reversals from Trump. He is the one walking back on restrictions. He is the one welcoming Chinese students and scheduling visits.
Did you talk about the Chinese students? Are you allowing them to come to the US?
Chinese students are coming. No problem. No problem.
Okay,
It's our honor to have them, frankly.
So who blinked here? You could say both. Both sides did. Trump needed the call more. The US economy is jittery. The political optics of a trade war are not looking great. So getting Xi on the phone line gives Trump something to point to. He can say that there's a commitment to future talks. As for Xi Jinping, his economy is hurting too. But his waiting game meant that he still gets to hold the cards. He took Trump's call on his terms. He mentioned Taiwan on his terms, and he did not offer any public concessions. Also, China knows that every time Trump rushes to call, they gain leverage. So is this a diplomatic breakthrough or just a breather? The US-China trade war is not over yet, but the rhetoric has definitely cooled. Trump gets to show that he's engaging, and Xi gets to stay the course. There are no real concessions, just two superpowers putting a pause on the punches, at least for now. But how long will this last? We'll have to wait and watch until the next call. The global economy has never been harder to read. Two superpowers locked in a trade war. Trump is picking a fight with the world's richest man. Growth forecasts are being revised every week. Supply chains are shifting and markets are swinging wildly. So how should economies adapt? And how does this uncertainty trickle down? How does it impact your job, your loan, your future? India's Reserve Bank delivered its response today, and it went big. The Reserve Bank of India announced a 0.5% cut in interest rates.
After a detailed assessment of the evolving macroeconomic and financial developments and the economic outlook ahead, the MPC decided to reduce, which is widely expected, the policy repo rate under the liquidity adjustment facility by 50 basis points to 5.5%.
This is one of the biggest cuts in recent memory, bigger than what most economists had expected, and the markets welcomed the news. Both the Sensex and the Nifty gained by around 1%. This is a clear signal to the world. India is taking control of its economic strategy in a world that is losing direction. And this is why the RBI cut the repo rate today. But what exactly is the repo rate and why should it matter to you? Well, in simpler terms, repo rate is interest rate. This is the rate at which the RBI lends money to commercial banks. Banks sometimes need money for the short term to meet the daily demands for customers, to process withdrawals, to lend to customers, and for their own operations. This loan from the RBI comes at a cost, an interest rate that banks must pay. And that cost of borrowing or interest is called the repo rate. Today, it has been cut by 0.5% or 50 basis points. That means it is cheaper for banks to borrow money from the RBI. And here's something you should know. This is an old tool. It's an important tool for central banks to keep the economy moving, to control inflation, and to manage growth. This move serves two purposes: boosting growth and reducing price rise. We'll start with growth. India has been doing well for itself. It remains the world's fastest growing major economy, but the growth rate has dropped. The momentum has slowed over the past year. In the last financial year, India grew at 6.5%.
We are already growing at a very fast pace. 6.5% is the highest, not only last year amongst major economies, but even in the last decade. Of course, we aspire to grow at a higher rate, and we are making all efforts in our vision of a Viksit Bharat by 2047.
6.5% growth, that's a good number, but not when compared to previous years, when India grew at 8% on average. So there is a notable slowdown, and this is in line with global trends because around the world, growth has been sluggish. At home, the Reserve Bank kept interest rates high, but what happens when interest rates are high? Loans are expensive. Businesses and individuals take fewer loans. They invest less in new ventures, and this has a ripple effect on the economy. Lesser growth. Today's rate cut is an attempt to undo this. The rate cut will make loans cheaper. With cheaper home loans, people invest more in property. With cheaper business loans, investments get a boost. They can raise money to reduced interest rates. And all of this boosts growth. The second issue is inflation. And how is India doing on that front? Not bad at all. In April, inflation slowed to a 6-year low. It has dropped to around 3%. The RBI's limit for inflation is 4%. So at 3%, India is quite comfortable.
Inflation has softened significantly over the last 6 months from above the tolerance band in October 2024 to well below the target. Latest numbers are 3.2%, with signs of a broad-based moderation.
Food inflation has eased, fuel prices have normalized. This gave the central bank some breathing space. When inflation is high, a rate cut is tough because cheaper loans fuel price rise. But with inflation under control, the RBI can pump more cash into the economy. Their own forecast for this year says that inflation will be at 3.7%. Again, well within the ideal range, well below 4%. So this rate cut checks a lot of boxes. It boosts lending. It promotes spending, it gives businesses scope to expand, and it can put more money into the hands of people. But are there any downsides? Yes, there are. Lower interest rates come at a cost. They impact savings. They can impact savings, especially savings of pensioners and senior citizens. Many of these people keep their savings in bank deposits. They depend on them for a steady income. Rate cuts erode those returns because banks reduce interest on savings. They shrink payouts on fixed deposits. So while the borrowers stand to gain from this move, savers may end up losing. Those who use fixed deposits for stable returns, they may lose. In the months ahead, we could see a shift. More investors may turn to government bonds, debt funds, even the stock market. As interest rates drop, they can deliver better returns. But remember, these assets also carry a risk. So choose your investment vehicles carefully. Interest rates may be falling, but market volatility is not. The RBI's decision is a response to global uncertainty, to weak demand, and to shaky investor confidence. With this move, India is not just cutting rates, it is shoring up resilience and signaling stability in a time of global flux. Times Square is not where nations go to embarrass themselves, but then again, Pakistan is not your average nation. It is a glorified military state where generals get medals for losing wars, where elected leaders are jailed for winning, and where truth dies 1,000 deaths, only to be resurrected on a Times Square billboard. Let's show you one. This is a truck at Times Square in New York City, arguably one of the most photographed corners of the world. The truck's screen has images of Pakistan's most powerful man, their army chief, Field Marshal Asim Munir. But not as a hero or a soldier. Asim Munir here is branded as a liar and a loser, as a fraud marshal. Fraud marshal instead of field marshal. And it's out there for the world to see. The question is, who did this? Pakistan's own citizens. Imran Khan's supporters, to be precise. Those who've had enough with their country's lies. Because look at what one of these images said. Give Asim Munir a polygraph test, aka the lie detector test. Why? Because of Islamabad's recent claims about India, the recent lies. Guess Pakistan doesn't need a reality check from the world, its own citizens are enough. And we would like to tell them that we agree. In any sane country, military promotions follow victory. You lead your troops, you win a battle, you receive military honors. But in Pakistan, you hide in a bunker, preside over a military defeat, and then get awarded. India struck terror camps in Pakistan. India struck military bases in Pakistan. Islamabad tried to hit back but failed. And yet, Asim Munir did not get sidelined. He got a 5-star promotion. He was made Field Marshal, the highest military rank in the country. So the fraud marshal image makes absolute sense. But this is not just about military ranks, it is also about Imran Khan. Imran Khan was once the military's golden boy. He came to power with their help. Khan and Munir used to be on good terms. Khan appointed Munir as the Director General of the ISI, that is Pakistan's spy agency. But then Khan started taking his role as Prime Minister seriously. He stopped taking orders from the army, and that is when the knives came out. The military turned against him. They banned his party. They jailed him on multiple charges. And when that wasn't enough, they tried to erase him from public memory altogether. The problem is, Imran Khan refused to be erased. He is said to enjoy immense public support in Pakistan, and evidently outside Pakistan too. The latest Times Square billboard is proof. You've got to admire Pakistan's commitment, though. The army thought if they kept saying victory, people would forget. They would stop asking about the damaged air bases, or how the country's most popular leader is in jail, or how the last election was a farce. But here's the thing about the digital age. You can block protests in Lahore, you can silence media in Islamabad, but you cannot block Times Square. And when your own citizens wash your dirty laundry on a New York billboard, you've lost more than just PR. Maybe that is what stings the most, not the billboard, not the name calling. What stings is the loss of control. Pakistan's military has spent decades manufacturing a narrative of honor and victory. But in the end, all it took was a billboard to dismantle it. So Asim Munir can wear his uniform, he can cling to his medals and his titles, he can parade around as Field Marshal, but deep down he knows he lost the war and the story. And in a country built on narratives, that is the greatest defeat of all. A few weeks ago, Kashmir was devastated. terror struck innocent civilians in Pahalgam. It left the valley shocked and traumatized. All the headlines were about fear, about empty tourist spots and lost livelihoods. But today, Kashmir broke through. Today, we saw the real face of Kashmir, of progress and hope. Just look at these pictures. This is a new railway bridge in Jammu and Kashmir, the Chenab Bridge. It's the highest arch bridge in the world. Truly a marvel of engineering. The bridge is part of a key railway line in this region. It offers all-weather connectivity to Kashmir. The bridge was inaugurated by Prime Minister Modi today. Take a look.
कदम के बाद लगातार जांच की जा रही थी, हर एक परिणाम है वो आज हम सब के सामने ही कितना अगर देखा जाए अपने आप में ये चेनाब ब्रिज के सेतु का उद्घाटन करते हुए नजर आ रहे हैं प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी।
Some quick numbers now. The total cost of this project was 1,400 crore rupees, which is around $163 million. The bridge is 359 meters tall, which is 35 meters more than the Eiffel Tower. And it spans 1,315 meters across the gorge. Railway officials say it is designed to last for 120 years. They also say it can support train speeds up to 100 kilometers per hour. And that is not all. Authorities say this bridge is earthquake-proof. It can withstand tremors up to magnitude 8. They also say it can survive bomb blasts. Like I said, it's an engineering marvel. The bridge was designed by the Indian Institute of Science in Bengaluru. Some inputs were given by IIT Delhi and IIT Roorkee. And frankly, this was a Herculean task. You had to account for so many variables. The cooler temperatures, the seismic activity, the violent winds, the rocky gorge, all of this had to be factored into the construction. And they succeeded. The bridge can endure up to minus 20 degrees Celsius. Officials say it can also withstand winds up to 266 kilometers per hour. Just south of this bridge is another marvel, the N18G cable bridge. This is India's first cable rail link. It uses 96 cables to hold up the structure. Again, authorities say it can handle rough conditions, wind speeds up to 213 kilometers per hour and train speeds up to 100 kilometers per hour. Both these bridges are part of the same line. Now we come to the real-world impact. The main goal is to connect Jammu and Srinagar. Along with the bridges, Vande Bharat trains have also been flagged off. These are special Vande Bharat trains. They can operate even in minus 40 degrees Celsius. These trains will cover the distance in 3 hours. So you can reach Srinagar from Jammu in just 3 hours, which is around half the current journey. Now just imagine the opportunities this would unlock for tourism, for business, for security. It reaffirms the importance of connectivity for growth. You cannot grow as an island. You must be connected to other centers. Beyond connectivity, this project is important for 2 reasons. One is the skill required to make it. This is arguably India's biggest engineering marvel. It is right up there with world-class structures. So it's a tribute to our engineers and builders. Secondly, this is a rebound from Pahalgam. After the attack, Pakistan tried to internationalize Kashmir. They talked about India's neglect of the region. They said Kashmiris were suffering. But as you can see, India is committed to Kashmir's growth. Pahalgam has not deterred New Delhi. Instead, the government is doubling down. And that tells you what India's approach is, to deliver progress to Kashmiris, to win their hearts and minds. Prime Minister Modi spoke about that today.
विकास का जो वातावरण जम्मू कश्मीर में बना था वो पहलगाम के हमले से डिगने वाला नहीं है। जम्मू कश्मीर के आप सभी लोगों को और आप सबसे नरेंद्र मोदी का वायदा है, मैं यहां विकास को रुकने नहीं दूंगा।
We hope the world is watching. India is building engineering marvels in Kashmir. Pakistan is building terror camps in occupied Kashmir. Do remember that before you compare the two. Our next story is from Gaza. Israel continues to bomb the Strip, but Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has just made a stark admission. Israel is now arming rival militias inside Gaza. Why? To counter the Hamas. At least that's the official line. But this revelation has set off a political firestorm back home. Critics are calling it short-sighted. The opposition says Netanyahu is playing with fire again, because this is not new territory. For years, Israel quietly backed Hamas as a counterweight to the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank. And now it's back to the same playbook, arming one faction to undermine the other. Will they end up with another Frankenstein's monster? Our next report tells you.
It's Eid al-Adha in Gaza, but no one's celebrating. This is the Strip's second Eid in a row under siege. But there's no food to celebrate with, no safe place to gather, and many families are spending it next to graves. That's the new normal now. What's not normal, or at least wasn't public, is Israel's new strategy. It's now working with armed Palestinian gangs inside Gaza. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu admitted to this.
Prime Minister, just a question. Lieberman published a secret security information for a political gain. Your comment?
It's very grave, because what did Lieberman leak? What did he leak and publish? That with the advice of security forces, we have operated clans in Gaza who oppose Hamas. What's wrong with that? It is only good. It only saves IDF soldiers' lives. And publishing this is benefiting only Hamas.
So who are these gangs? One group in particular has caught attention. The so-called Popular Forces, led by a man named Yasser Abu Shabab. Reports say it's around 100 armed men working with what they call the tacit approval of the Israeli military. The Popular Forces says that they're guarding aid convoys. But here's the problem. These same gangs are also accused of stealing aid, intimidating other civilians, and running the streets like militias. Aid workers on the ground say these aren't humanitarian efforts, they are turf wars. Meanwhile, the aid situation in Gaza is collapsing. The Israeli siege is still in place, and food is trickling in. But the chaos around its distribution is lethal. There have been at least 4 incidents just in the past week. Israeli troops opened fire on Palestinians gathered at aid centers. In one case, 7 people were killed near Rafah while waiting for food. So this isn't just a logistics issue. Aid is now a front line in Gaza.
We died inside, all this to get food for our children. I got this. A bit of flour, a bit of lentils, and 2 packs of pasta. We died. They made us pass at the peak of the heat and they killed us. We can't walk, we can't continue.
We are marking Eid with the remains of our children, with the remains of our fathers and mothers. Every Palestinian house is wounded. Every Palestinian house has a martyr. All of the Gaza Strip is bleeding. The world is watching. The world is happy. They are sacrificing for Eid, and we are sacrificing with ourselves.
So where is this war going? On the battlefield, Israel is still bombing targets across the Strip. At least 52 Palestinians were killed on Thursday alone. Strikes hit homes, roads, and public areas. Children are being pulled out of rubble almost every day. But behind the scenes, something else is moving slowly. Hamas says it's ready to talk. It says it hasn't rejected the latest US-backed proposal for a ceasefire. In fact, Hamas is already in touch with mediators.
We confirm that the Hamas did not reject the latest proposal of U.S. President Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff, but we presented some comments and improvements to the proposal. We also confirm our readiness to engage in a new and real round of negotiations in order to reach a permanent ceasefire agreement, especially since contacts with mediators and others are still ongoing in order to reach that.
The last attempt at a ceasefire collapsed in March. Both sides blamed each other. Since then, there have been repeated efforts led by the United States, Qatar, and Egypt. But nothing has stuck. Every time things look close, the deal slips away. And what about Israel? Israel had initially accepted the US proposal for a Gaza ceasefire, but there's little mention of the talks now. However, not everyone is happy with Israel's new strategy. The idea of arming Palestinian gangs is deeply controversial. Opposition politicians have called it reckless. Some say Netanyahu is creating another monster. After all, it was Israel who had armed Hamas against the Palestinian Authority. So arming yet another group without any real plan isn't the best idea. So where does this end? In Washington, diplomats are frustrated. Across the globe, activists are furious. In Doha and Cairo, exhausted intermediaries shuttle back and forth, trying to broker another fleeting peace. And in Gaza, there are no front lines anymore. The whole strip is a war zone. The whole population is trapped. So the real question is no longer just when this ends, it's what will be left when it does.
What a time to be alive. Rather, to be alive as an employee. If you did not catch the sarcasm there, here is a summary of what the job market looks like today. Layoffs are up, hiring is down, increments are slow, and AI is probably coming for your job. I know it is almost weekend. This sounds like a Monday problem, right? But the fact is, these issues may not be going away anytime soon. Let's start with the worst bit, the layoffs. Pick an industry, any industry. In all likelihood, layoffs are playing havoc with it. Like the consumer industry, for instance. Consumer goods giant Procter & Gamble has announced layoffs this week. They will cut about 7,000 jobs globally. In banking, Citigroup is laying off 3,500 people the world over. In media, Warner Brothers and Disney are cutting hundreds of jobs. In the auto industry, Sweden's Volvo is cutting around 3,000 jobs, and Japan's carmaker Nissan 11,000 jobs the world over. Even luxury moguls are not safe. British brand Burberry is laying off some 1,700 workers. And the worst of them all, tech layoffs. We are not even halfway through the year yet, but about 78,000 tech workers have already lost their jobs. 78,000. This has happened in more than 340 companies the world over, and this is happening across the board, from brand new startups to tech giants like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Intel, and HP. Frustrated yet? Well, layoffs are only one part of the problem. Getting hired today is daunting too, especially for the young. They are the workhorses of the economy. They are crucial to any job market. So the state of their jobs tells a lot about the health of a labor market. But look at youth unemployment today. Globally, it stands at 13%, meaning there are not enough jobs. If you zoom in, it gets worse. Take the UK, for instance. 11 million people do not have jobs in the UK. That's a quarter of their working population. Now, young people with degrees are not even able to find jobs in supermarkets. In the US, hiring has come to a grinding halt. May's job growth was the lowest since March 2023. And this is taking a toll on new graduates. Their worker confidence has fallen to a record low. So why is the job market in a flux? Well, the answer depends from company to company. It could be to cut costs, organizational restructure, global economic uncertainty, or all of the above. But only one thing is certain. Whether you're braving job cuts or hunting for a job, it can be draining. What about the workers who are currently employed? Well, they face a major challenge as well. First is pay growth. It is painfully slow. Now, to give you an idea, among Europe's 5 largest economies, Italy has recorded the highest pay growth this year. The highest. Can you guess how much it is? 2.7%. What about India? The average salary increment expected in India this year is 9%, which sounds like a lot, but this is the slowest salary hike in 3 years. The second big challenge for many workers is this: the fight to stay employed. Because AI is not coming for jobs, it is already here. And it is going to replace millions of jobs. You already know why. AI requires minimal human supervision. It is designed to boost efficiency. Sure, it is prone to errors, but it also cuts cost and effort. So 41% employers want to downsize their workforce and replace it with AI. Employees are anxious, and understandably so. Couple this with all the other anxiety-inducing job market trends, the layoffs, the lack of jobs, the sluggish pay growth, and you have the perfect storm. So what is the solution? Most experts have only one answer, and that is upskilling. Yes, it is exhausting, but it may be the only answer, and an urgent one. After all, since 2015, skill sets for jobs have changed by 25%. By 2027, this number is expected to double, and nearly 40% workers fear that their jobs will be obsolete soon. Upskilling can help save these jobs. Ultimately, upskilling is just about becoming a better worker, a more effective, a more relevant, and a competitive worker. So upskilling can help people get noticed for more raises. It can better position workers, it can increase their chances of getting hired, and it can boost the global GDP by $6 trillion. So my point is simple. This could easily be the worst time to be an employee. The job market is far from ideal. The workplace is changing rapidly, but we cannot wish it away. This is the new world of jobs. And to cope with it, we will have to learn new skills. The sooner we accept this, the faster we can reclaim control amid the chaos. Now let's turn our attention to Iran. Its war machine is back to business, and guess who is powering it? China. According to reports, Iran has ordered missile ingredients from China, thousands of tons of chemicals that can power ballistic missiles, reportedly 800 of them. And this is not the first time this is happening. Earlier this year, Chinese missile chemicals were sent to Iran, 1,000 tons of chemicals, enough to fuel about 260 short-range missiles. So on the one hand, China is arming Iran. On the other, Tehran is in talks with the US. Donald Trump wants to curb Iranian nuclear efforts. Our next report tells you more.
Earlier this year, 2 Iranian ships docked in China. They were loaded with a Chinese-made chemical called sodium perchlorate. This chemical is used to make missiles. 1,000 tons of this chemical was loaded on the vessels. That's enough to fuel about 260 short-range missiles, and the material was sent to Iranian ports. This transfer was a clear signal that Iran's missile production is back to business. And now a fresh report is out. It says that Iran has ordered more missile ingredients from China, specifically ammonium perchlorate. This is a crucial chemical used to fuel ballistic missiles. According to reports, Iran has ordered thousands of tons of it from China. Apparently, it's enough to produce 800 missiles. Unsurprisingly, the Chinese Foreign Ministry says that it's not aware of the contract. They say,
the Chinese side has always exercised strict control over dual-use items in accordance with China's export control laws and regulations and its international obligations.
But according to reports, shipments will reach Iran within the next few months, and they could fuel hundreds of missiles. Iran already has one of the biggest ballistic missile programs in the region. It was severely crippled last year when, in October, Israel hit key factories in Iran. It took out a dozen components called mixers used to blend chemicals for missiles. This was both damaging and embarrassing for Tehran. But now, reports say that Iran has started to repair the mixers, and in all likelihood, the Chinese contracts are being used to fuel this recovery. And this comes amid contentious nuclear talks with Donald Trump. Iran says that its nuclear activities are peaceful, that it doesn't seek to develop nuclear weapons. Yet, it has continued to expand its stockpiles. Enriched uranium is used to make nuclear weapons. According to the International Atomic Energy Agency, Iran has now stockpiled more than 408 kilograms of uranium that's been enriched to 60% purity. This is enough to make 9 nuclear bombs. And this is not acceptable to Donald Trump. In March, the United States proposed nuclear talks to Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Last Saturday, the Trump administration presented a plan. It would reportedly see Iran halt the production of enriched uranium. But this week, Khamenei criticized the proposal and ruled out negotiation limits on the missile program.
The first thing we say to the American and other parties is, what business do you have in this? Why do you interfere in whether Iran should have enrichment or not? What's it to you? The proposal that the Americans have presented is 100% against our interests.
Despite several rounds of talks, both sides remain adamant. Trump says Iran is running out of time, while Tehran insists on its right to nuclear enrichment. And with China powering Iran's war machine, it looks like Tehran is not even considering to budge.
Today's joke is quite obvious. The big, beautiful breakup between Donald Trump and Elon Musk. The internet has got some wild ideas to settle it. Some say this will end with Trump deporting Elon Musk. I know it sounds crazy, but looking at the last 100 days, who knows? Anything is possible. Others say that Trump and Musk should fight inside a cage, though I'm not sure Secret Service will like that idea. Frankly, this spat may have an unintended consequence. The more they fight each other, the less they obsess over dumb ideas, like a genocide in South Africa, or a global tariff war, or an invasion of Canada or Greenland. Now it's time for Vantage Shots, images that tell the story. Tom Cruise gets a Guinness World Record for his burning parachute stunt in his latest Mission Impossible movie. Pilgrims mark Eid al-Adha in Saudi Arabia's Mecca. And Trump and Zelensky take center stage in a Cantonese opera. Finally, we're taking you back in history. On this day in 1944, Allied soldiers landed on the beaches of France's Normandy to fight the Nazis. This was the biggest sea invasion in history. This Allied invasion is commonly known as D-Day. Despite Nazi resistance, 155,000 Allied troops pushed on. The D-Day landings were key to finally freeing Europe from Hitler's rule. We're leaving you on that note. Thank you for watching. Have a good weekend.
One of the factors that prevented even greater success in Normandy. Meanwhile, unloading the heavy stuff has gone on and will go on. So much for Allied communications.
أكبر الله أكبر إلا ما شاء الله إن